This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Well, welcome tonight to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon A. Jones. Shannon will be joining us shortly. You know, Big Papa has Papa do this. He'll be joining us shortly. Well, our program tonight is really going to be a very interesting program. You know, I always say that I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I'm really for who's for the issues that face people. Now, we have Melisha Maynard, State House Representative, House District 56, who has changed parties from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. So she has issues with Democratic colleagues in the State House. Well, we got to see what those people in 56 district are saying. We got to talk a little bit about that and hear what Ms. Maynard is saying also, too. Then we're going to also talk a little bit about what's going on with these electorates, supposed electorates, chosen electorate that wasn't really the ones that really was supposed to certify the election in Michigan. We'll talk about that and some other things. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go nowhere. Touch that dial. Share with your friends that we are on now talking about nothing but what? Straight talk.
Hi, Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast or more. Hey, Bishop Greg. Hey, Pastor Shannon. Hope you all are doing well. It's so good to see you again. Anyway, and I hope all of you that are listening to Straight Talk News, I hope you are doing well as well. I always end up saying that, well as well. But anyway, Greg gonna give me some new words. New Zion Baptist, the good church, presents a citywide pastors and church musicians luncheon, August 12, 2023, beginning at 12 noon at New Zion Baptist, 2100 Abner Place in Northwest Atlanta. Guest speakers include the maestro, Kenneth Lowe, Reverend Stanley Smith, and Reverend Jairus Dorsey, who is also the host pastor. Pre-registration is required. The admission is free if you pre-register. You have a confirmed RSVP. Call them at 678-754-5667. That's 678-754-5667. Join the women of Liberty International Church for their Women's Fellowship and Empowerment Brunch coming up on September 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Their theme is Becoming. You can get more details by checking out their website at libertyintministries.com. That's libertyintministries.com. Liberty International Church is located at 1362 Metropolitan Parkway in Southwest Atlanta, where our own Bishop Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, is pastor. And I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful experience. Now, let me tell you about something that's really important. National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month is observed every July to bring awareness to the unique struggles that racial and ethnic minority communities face during mental illness in the United States. In 2021, it's estimated that only 39% of Black or African American adults with any mental illness were treated, compared to 52% of non-Hispanic white adults. So we're asking that you join us on Wednesday, July 26th, 6:30 p.m. for a community town hall meeting. This will be a minority mental health awareness at Flipper Temple AME Church, 580 Atlanta Student Movement Boulevard in Southwest Atlanta. You can get more information by logging on to the website at www.flippertempleamechurch.com, or you can call the office at 404-522-5020. That's 404-522-5020. This is in partnership with the Morehouse School of Medicine Clinical Research Center. They have really put a lot of effort into this Minority Mental Health Awareness Month and what's coming up on the 26th. And we're asking that you join us because mental health has become a priority now, and we can no longer ignore the need for it. So be sure, if you can, to join us on Wednesday, July 26, 6:30 p.m. at Flipper Temple AME Church. Okay, listen, I'd like for you to do 4 things for me. I'd like for you to like us, subscribe to us, leave comments, and share us. Please let everybody know what you know about Straight Talk News with Greg Fenn, the Preacher Man, and Pastor Shannon Jones. You know, Straight Talk News has been around for a while, and we want everybody to know about it. We don't want to be kept a secret, okay? So let everybody know about Straight Talk News, okay? Be sure to share us. And listen, that's going to do it for Miss C on Straight Talk News with Greg Fenn, the Preacher Man, and Pastor Shannon Jones. And we're going to see you right back here next time, okay? Bye now.
I'm ready.
Well, thank Miss C. Thanks, Miss C. That's Shannon's friend, Miss C. And Miss C is my friend also, too. But Miss C got it right again. Like, make comments, and subscribe, share, make comments. I done got like Miss C. Miss C, I can't even talk about you no more. It's like us, and it's subscribe, it's make comments, and share.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah, and you know, I came back to the city this week. Last week I was at the lake. I was out there at Stone Mountain at the lake.
Yeah.
This week I came back to the city. All right.
On the water.
On the water. You know, sitting on the dock of the bay. You know, you have to have a little R&R sometimes. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You got to have a little R&R. But listen, just want to talk a little bit before we bring on Mrs. Melissa Maynard, Miss Maynard, Representative Maynard, who is giving up her Democratic Party and switching over to the Republican Party. We'll talk a little bit about that and hear what she has to say. But one of the things that's illuminating in this whole saga of Donald Trump is so many people have done so much to try to keep him in the seat as the president of the United States. And all of these different states, I think it's about 7 of them, Arizona, different states, Georgia being one, and other where they had all of these phony electors that was going to put their name on and said they're the ones that's voting for who needs to be the president of the United States, right? To overturn President Biden's election, along with the insurrection, along with all the things that have taken place to keep Mr. Biden out the White House and keep Mr. Trump in the White House, right? And so Michigan ruled and indicted 16 of them. And we know in our own home state that Fani Willis, District Attorney Fani Willis, is looking at to indict Mr. Trump and has been talking to those people who certified themselves as being electors here in Georgia, right? So the saga goes on and on and on and on and on. You know, at any price, it seemed that people would do anything to satisfy Mr. Trump. They will go to jail for him. We've seen people those ones who was a part of the insurrection, the Proud Boys and others, people who lost their life because of him. And he really now spinning it like, hey, listen, they're after me. They're after me. Y'all, they're after me. It's about me. They're after me because I'm standing up for you. So they're after me. So he's spinning it like, you know, he's always the victim and never the villain. I mean, I learned, maybe you're a little younger than I, but they said, I learned when there's smoke, there's fire. So there's some fire somewhere. There's something going awry with Mr. Trump and all these indictments and all of these proposed indictments. And, well, we're going to see what Mr. Giuliani is going to say. And Mr. William Russell, who has been back and forth, who was in the room when he told them, don't take their guns, let them go through at the insurrection. So it's so much. I'll be so glad when people wake up and say it's time out. We want to keep our country as a democracy. We don't want to turn back the hands of time. We don't want to go to the kind of government Mr. Trump wants to take us to be a dictatorship. And we no longer have free speech. We no longer have a right to vote for who we would choose to be the president of the United States, or any office, not just the president of the United States, but in any office. So, you know, what do you have to say about that? And then we'll go to Ms. Maynard.
I think it's a delicate dance that's going on. I was listening to the news the other day, and there was a gentleman who said that he loves Trump. He loves everything about Donald Trump. He said his sister won't invite him to dinner, won't invite him to Thanksgiving dinner. You know, that he was becoming scary to the family and the people. And I think that that's the delicate dance, is how do you dance with the Trump voter without dancing with Donald Trump? And how do you try to remove them from, you know, surgically remove those Trumpers from Trump to be able to turn those to be voters for Chris Christie and for others. It's an interesting place that they're in. Kevin McCarthy and several others are dancing. I do think that for the Trump train, that all of these indictments become fuel to his movement. You know, I think that the more that they pour on these indictments, it just smacks of politics more so than jurisprudence. And we know, or we suspect, let me say, because we, you know, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But we really highly suspect that the 45th president has been guilty of many things, and really just didn't understand, in my estimation, he just didn't understand, you know, the federal government and the presidency. And a little bit of knowledge, we dealt with that. I dealt with that in Bible study. A little bit of knowledge is dangerous, and especially when you can get folks that support you for a little bit of understanding and really don't know who you are, and they really don't know that you don't know, understand that you're leading them. So it's an interesting place that we're in. But as I look at all these indictments, I don't hear the Trump voters walking away. I see the political class the Republican political class trying to find how they can deal with this delicate dance, because they don't want Donald Trump to be president of the United States again. They don't want that.
But Donald Trump is only running.
The Trump political class does not want it.
I know what I'm saying, but let me say, Donald Trump is only running because he can only not be indicted or put in prison as the president of the United States. So if he wins president of the United States, again, all of this was naught in terms of the federal level, but on the state level, he still got to deal with the charges that Ms. Willis will bring, the Manhattan DA and other states that are doing it. And I understand Arizona is trying to bring him up on charges. So I mean, there's no escape from the inevitable. You could say it's political, but let me tell you something. Donald Trump, if people listen to what he said, and he was on a newscast or a news interview, and he said, this is what he said. He said, I received a subpoena, but I didn't even know what the subpoena was. I don't even know anything about a subpoena. And the guy said, they said, wait a minute. Clearly, Mr. Trump, you've been a billionaire, you claim. You've been sued, so you received subpoenas. I mean, you may have not received a subpoena from a federal subpoena, but you know what a subpoena is. A subpoena means that you got to appear for some alleged charge or some accusation that has been brought against you. So that subpoena means that you got to go to court to address whatever those charges are, right? So he alleged that he'd never seen a subpoena before. Come on. I mean, you got to peel back and listen to what he's saying to really understand. But you can't shake people away from him who are bought into the lies and not looking at what he's doing. See, this is what I say. I believe this. Don't watch what a person say, but watch what they're doing, because what they're doing is really what they're saying. So if people would look at what Donald Trump is doing, as opposed to listen to what he's saying, they will understand. Yes, the political wheel may be trying to pull them away from him, and you got those who are running for president in the Republican Party, except for Chris Christie, who's really bringing out things about him, but others are towing the line, like even Mr. Pence, the governor of Florida, and many others. You got 16 people running against him, 16 that's running against him, and none of them, other than Chris Christie, really wants to talk about him and what he's done and what he has been able to do even as president of the United States, when he was president of the United States. But we're going to leave that alone. We're going to go on and...
Well, hold on before we leave it alone. I want to just grab back and say that I didn't say it was political. I said that it looks political.
Okay.
And, you know, it looks political because you got Hunter Biden that pretty much got a slap on his hand for tax evasion. And now he's back in the news again by these IRS investigators that said that they were basically instructed, the whistleblowers, that said that they were instructed not to really pursue Hunter Biden, pursue his case. And they were both registered Democrats that came forward. And then the Democratic congressperson said, well, you know, they're investigators. They weren't, they weren't IRS brass. They were those that were investigating, but it wasn't the IRS. So it gets to be, when we say it gets to be political, when I say that, it looks political. They brought up the case again with the lady that he was alleged to have, that I think she got $5 million for his sexual harassment or advancement, alleged advancement in a department store dressing room. So you got all this stuff that's kind of mounted, and what I'm saying is that it appears to be political. I'm not, I can't say, whether or not it's legal again. So that would be the concern. But then the other thing is I don't think that Trump is running for the sole purpose of trying to stay out of jail. I think that works if he can get elected. But I think that he's running to finish the narrative that the election was, even though I think that he's admitted that Joe Roberts, Lord, I'm going into my Ebenezer days, that Joe Biden is the duly elected president of the United States. There's this narrative out there that the election was stolen. And I think that Donald Trump believes, at least to his backers, that there's unfinished business in Trump.
Yeah, well, we can agree to disagree on that, because I disagree totally. I think Trump is really running just to stay out of jail. He wants his stay out of jail card. That's what he wants. So, I mean, all that other stuff aside, because Trump is selfish. He's all about himself. He's not about the people. He used people as a pawn. How many people have gone to jail at his
So are you arguing that he didn't go to the inauguration of Joe Biden because he wanted to stay out of jail?
I'm saying he didn't. No, he did not. He didn't go to the inauguration.
Do you think that was the plan? Do you think that's why he sent why he wanted to have it? You think that was all about him staying out of jail, January 6th, and all that?
Absolutely, I believe
and
that.
And the phone call to Georgia, to the Secretary of State for the State, you think that was for him to stay out of jail?
I believe that.
Or to keep power and to stay in the presidency?
I believe that, because he wanted to stay the president of the United States. Because I
agree with you that he wanted to stay president of the United States.
Okay.
But you're saying also that he's running not to get back that seat for power, but you're saying he's running to stay out of jail.
To stay out of jail, and if he should win, you know what he's gonna do once he get in there. So I mean, but the reality, the basic premise
I don't think he ever wanted to give it up.
No, he doesn't. He wants to stay out of jail.
I don't think he ever wanted to give it up.
No, he didn't want to give it up. That's why he tried to steal it. That's why he did everything he did, and people fall like dominoes.
I think that's his true motive.
Okay, well, I think that his motive is right now is because all these indictments, I want to stay out of jail. I want to stay out of jail. That's what I believe. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but that's what I believe. He wants to stay out of jail. But let's move to Ms. Maynard and to hear why she wants to switch the party. What's her rationale for leaving the Democratic Party to go to the Republican Party? We'll be back on the other side with Shannon and I. Don't touch that dial. You can agree to disagree with us, but we'll be back and just with more comments about Mrs. Maynard and how she's going to win that seat. That's a total Democratic seat as a Republican, House District 56. But even if she's the only run.
Been issues in terms of police funding and prosecutorial discretion, issues of school choice. I know that you have been at odds with many Democrats in the General Assembly. But one of the questions people have is if you feel as though the Democratic Party was not supportive of you and your colleagues not supportive of you, why choose to go Republican as opposed to, say, independent? I understand that as recently as last year, you said you would never switch parties. What changed to go Republican rather than independent?
So in Georgia, it's not really easy to be an independent. Last year, or at the last election, I got about 20,000 votes. To be independent, you have to get thousands of signatures to even be on the ballot. So it really is impractical to be an independent in Georgia.
Well, given that, does it sound like, are you truly a Republican now, or it was just politically expedient to be that now then, based on that?
So when I came into office, I came in as a Democrat. I've been a Democrat my entire life. That's all I knew. It wasn't until becoming a policymaker, actually looking at the policy, digging into the fine details, that many people said, okay, you're actually not a Democrat, you are a centrist or you are a moderate. As a layperson, had no idea that that was such a thing. And now I am still a moderate and still a centrist, but just on the Republican side.
When you're up for re-election, I believe, in 2024, and I do wonder what your constituents that you are representing must feel about it. I recognize it's not a monolith. I can't say what do all the people you represent actually believe about a particular issue, but I am curious as to how you intend to either seek re-election or what will be your stance, knowing that you have done quite a switch from the Democrats to Republicans.
So the beautiful thing about this, Laura, is I campaigned on public safety as a Democrat. I campaigned on parent choice, school choice as a Democrat. I campaigned on victim rights as a Democrat. Those are the things I fought for inside the Capitol. Those are the exact same things I'm going to fight for on the Republican ticket. I do plan on running again. And once the decision was made and it was announced, I immediately got a flood of text messages saying, I'm still going to support you, Representative Maynard. Phone calls, emails. I know that you've been seeing all of the hate emails and text messages online, but for every one of those hate emails I'm receiving hundreds of letters of support. Local media, they've been out in the community asking people, how do you feel about this? The responses are, I can't wait to see what she's going to do with it. So I plan on winning District 56. I've won it twice with multiple people in my race without a runoff. They voted for me. They did not vote for the alphabet next to my name.
That's interesting. I'm very saddened to hear as well about the death threats that you have been receiving. And I know that you have been focusing on the positive reactions you've gotten. Something you said strikes me as interesting from the perspective of the electorate. You didn't know there was such a thing as a centrist or a moderate. Could you not have been that as a Democrat, or was it the underlying policies that you no longer agree with and have only learned about while in office? Or is it really the bureaucratic process that was surprising?
I would not call it a process, first and foremost. I will say this, it's not about party. I am not expecting the Republican Party to be perfect. My Republican colleagues have said, welcome, Representative Maynard. Please know that we are not perfect. It really is a policy issue. So if you are against children being able to have a choice when 97% of the kids don't know how to read, that's a policy issue. If you want to defund the police, that's a policy issue. If you want to put prosecutors or systems above families that are seeking justice, that's a policy issue. So once my colleagues started putting up $1,000 checks on social media for anybody to run against me, I did some self-reflection. Self-reflection said, okay, why is this happening? It's a policy issue. Every single policy issue that is important to my community was a policy issue that the Republican Party was supporting. So it's not party, it's really policy. Who is supporting my community? Who is trying to uplift my community? I tell people, look around you. The schools are failing. We have high crime. There is not a Republican in office, so we can't blame Republicans. Democrats need to blame themselves for the problems in our community, and I'm just trying to make a difference, honestly.
It certainly is your choice and how you want to run, and your constituents' choice on who they want to lead. There's a Republican majority already in your assembly. This widens that particular gap. But final question, now that you are a Republican, the head of your party happens to be the former president, Donald Trump, at least in a de facto sense. Do you support his bid for the White House?
I would say Governor Brian Kemp is the head of our Republican Party. I'm in Georgia, and former President Donald Trump is not in office right now, so I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one.
Will you support him if he becomes the RNC nomination? Obviously, Georgia has been a very important state. Brian Kemp has been a key part of the importance of that, and it's been looked at for a number of reasons, including happens at the federal and congressional level. If he is the RNC nominee, will you support him as a Republican?
I would say that there are 12 candidates. I have been in office for 2 seconds as a Republican. I have not looked at any of the candidates extensively because I was a former Democrat, so I was looking at what is President Biden doing. So ask me again, invite me back in a few months if you want to ask that particular question.
Well, Shannon, she gave rationale, school vouchers, and other things that she said that she has fought for that Democrats were against, but her Republican colleagues supported her wholeheartedly in her position. Well, I believe her position was she supported their position, basically. And this whole notion that this is what she did in the best interest of the kids in her district, because her kids in her district can't read. But that seemed to be a pretty affluent area she over there with around High Mill Road and some of those areas over there now. And Vine City, from what I understand now, is a high rent district, and a lot of people moving over there in those $300,000, $400,000 houses and living in those apartments and stuff over there. So, I don't know about that, Sean. I don't know about that. I'm from here, you're from here. We know how that area has trended and has changed. We know how that area has trended and changed. We know how Marietta Boulevard has trended and changed. We know how Vine City has trended and changed. We know when we talk about that area in which she represents, that Mabel Thomas represented, former Representative Mabel Thomas represented it. And also one time, I'm trying to remember his name, you know what I'm talking about, he used to work for Vincent. He won, Rashad Taylor. He